The ship docked with a gentle hiss at Earth's orbital station. 5 alien students pressed their faces against the viewing windows, their 6-fingered hands leaving smudges on the glass. They had never seen a blue planet before. "Remember," Professor Zidilner said, her voice crackling through their translator devices, "humans are classified as a level 3 species. They are considered mostly harmless but unpredictable." Kiplak, the tallest of the Florian students, blinked his large golden eyes, his leaf-like skin ruffled with excitement. "But Professor, I read that humans evolved on a death world. Is that true?" "That's a crude classification," Professor Zilmer replied. "Earth has higher gravity and more extreme weather than our homeworld. The humans adapted to these conditions through their technology, not through biological means like most species. The shuttle that would take them to the surface arrived." The alien students gathered their belongings and followed their professor. Their thin frames and pale green skin made them look fragile compared to the other species at the station. Vreen, the smallest of the group, whispered to Midra, "I heard humans break bones as part of their growth cycle. Is that real?" Midra's antenna twitched. "Don't be silly. No species could survive regular bone fractures." The Earth atmosphere felt heavy as they stepped off the shuttle at Armstrong University. The gravity pulled at their limbs, making movement require extra effort. The air smelled rich and wet compared to the clean, dry air of their homeworld. A human female waited for them near the landing pad. She wore a blue outfit and had short brown hair. Her smile revealed flat, white teeth. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "I'm Professor Diane Morris from the Department of Sinoanthropology. We're honored to host the first Florian exchange students in our university's history." Professor Zigzilinor extended her long, thin arm in greeting. "Thank you for accepting our application, Professor Morris. My students are eager to learn about human culture firsthand." The alien students followed the humans into a large building. The hallways were filled with humans moving quickly, carrying strange objects, talking loudly. The Florians stayed close together, overwhelmed by the noise and movement. "This is the Cultural Studies building," Professor Morris explained. "You'll be working here during your 6-week program. We've prepared special accommodations for you with adjusted gravity and humidity controls." A young human male approached the group. He had light skin and curly brown hair. "This is Noah Fisher, my teaching assistant," Professor Morris said. "He'll be your main guide during your stay." Noah smiled. "Hi everyone. I've been studying Florian language and customs for 2 years. I hope I can make your stay comfortable." Kiplak stepped forward. "We appreciate your efforts to learn about us. We are equally interested in learning about humans." "What exactly do you want to study while you're here?" Noah asked. Professor Zigzilinor answered, "We are particularly interested in human recreational activities and tools. On our world, we focus much of our energy on art and intellectual pursuits. We understand humans engage in more physical pastimes." "Oh, you mean like sports and hobbies?" Noah nodded. "I can definitely help with that. I play softball on weekends and do some rock climbing when I have time." The alien students exchanged confused looks. The translation for rock climbing seemed to suggest deliberately scaling dangerous vertical surfaces. Surely that couldn't be correct. "We would like to see your museum collections first," Midra suggested. "Artifacts reveal much about a culture." "Of course," Professor Morris agreed. "Noah can take you there tomorrow. For now, let's get you settled in your quarters." As they walked through the campus, the aliens noticed humans carrying odd objects. Flat devices, cylindrical containers, and what appeared to be small communication tools. Everything seemed strange and slightly threatening in ways they couldn't quite explain. That night, as the alien students rested in their adjusted gravity chambers, they discussed their first impressions of Earth. "The humans seem friendly enough," Vreen said. "Yes, but did you notice how quickly they move?" Midra replied. "And their strength must be incredible to move so easily in this gravity." Kiplak looked out the window at the moon hanging in the sky. "We have much to learn about this world." I wonder what surprises await us. None of them could have guessed what they would discover in the coming days, or how it would change their understanding of humanity forever. The next morning, Noah led the alien students through the university's cultural repository. The large room held rows of shelves filled with objects from human history. This section contains items from daily human life across different time periods. Noah explained, pointing to the shelves. The aliens moved slowly, their bodies still adjusting to Earth's gravity. Kiplak walked behind the group, fascinated by the strange human artifacts. The door marked Sports Equipment Storage caught his attention. The door was slightly open. Curious, he slipped away from the group and entered the room. Inside, the walls were lined with what looked like weapons. Long wooden and metal sticks hung from racks. Round hard balls sat in bins. Strange protective gear that resembled armor was stacked on shelves. Kiplak's heart raced. He picked up a long metal stick with a wide end. The translator called it a baseball bat. He had studied enough galactic weapons to recognize something designed to cause harm. Kiplak, where did you go? Noah called, finding him in the storage room. Oh, I see you found our sports equipment. Kiplak nearly dropped the bat. Sports equipment. Yeah, that's a baseball bat. Do you have baseball where you come from? Noah asked. No, Kiplak said carefully. What purpose does this serve? Noah laughed. You hit a ball with it. Here, I'll show you. He grabbed a ball and demonstrated a swing, not hitting anything. The whoosh of the bat through air made Kiplak step back in alarm. And humans do this for fun? Kiplak asked. Absolutely. I play every weekend. I'm not great, but I enjoy it. Noah continued showing the aliens around the repository. Vreen wandered into a section with kitchen displays from different time periods. She picked up a large knife from a modern kitchen display. The blade gleamed under the lights. Next to it was something called a meat tenderizer, a heavy metal object with spikes. Noah, she called, her voice shaking. What is the purpose of this pointed metal object? Noah walked over. That's just a kitchen knife. For cutting food. And this, she pointed to the meat tenderizer. That helps soften tough meat before cooking. Vreen's skin turned a paler shade of green. On her world, such tools would only be used for defense against predators. Yet humans kept them in their food preparation areas. After the tour ended, the alien students gathered in their private room to discuss what they had seen. Did you see those sports items? Kiplak asked. They are clearly designed to cause injury. Midra nodded. And those kitchen tools could easily become weapons. Maybe it's because they evolved on a dangerous planet, Vreen suggested. Perhaps they need these tools for protection. But Noah said they use them for games and cooking. Kiplak said. He swings that heavy wooden club at high speeds for enjoyment. Professor Zdilner joined them later that afternoon. The students shared their discoveries. We should document everything, the professor said. This could be important research about how Deathworld species integrate potential weapons into daily life. Later that day, Noah met them for lunch in the cafeteria. The aliens watched in horror as humans around them used metal tools to cut their food. Children ran around, some carrying smaller versions of the cutting tools. I have shooting practice this weekend, Noah mentioned casually as he ate, and my combat sports training on Sunday. Would any of you like to come watch? The aliens froze. Shooting practice, combat training. What kind of shooting do you practice? Professor Zagilnor asked carefully. Archery, Noah said. I've been doing it since I was a kid. And kickboxing for exercise. After Noah left, the aliens huddled together in alarm. Did he say he has been training with projectile weapons since childhood? Midra whispered. And he engages in ritualized combat for physical conditioning, Kiplak added. Vreen's antennae trembled. We need to be very careful. These humans are more dangerous than the Galactic Council realized. That night, Kiplak began a secret log on his datapad. The title read, Deathworld Arsena, human weapons hidden in plain sight. Below it, he started listing everyday objects that could double as weapons. The list grew longer than he expected. Professor Zgilner called an emergency meeting with her students in their private quarters. The windows were covered, and they spoke in hushed voices. "Show me what you have found," she said. Kiplak connected his data pad to the wall screen. Images of baseball bats, hockey sticks, and golf clubs appeared. "These are called sports equipment," he explained. "Humans swing these with great force, supposedly to hit small balls." Vreen added her findings next. Pictures of kitchen knives, meat tenderizers, and heavy cutting boards filled the screen. "They keep these sharp objects in their food preparation areas," she said, "even in homes with young humans." Professor Zillner's antennae twitched nervously. "This is concerning. What else have you discovered?" Midra showed images she had secretly captured around campus. Humans lifting heavy weights in the gym. Students carrying pointed sticks called pens. A groundskeeper using a loud machine with spinning blades to cut grass. "I believe humans are constantly surrounded by potential weapons," Midra said. "It's as if they've built their entire civilization around tools that can double as arms." The professor paced the room, her thin legs bending unnaturally under Earth's gravity. "We need more evidence before contacting the Galactic Council," she decided. "Tomorrow we will expand our investigation." The next day, Noah invited them to watch a local children's sporting event. "My nephew Sam is playing Little League Baseball," he said. "It might help you understand human recreation better." The aliens agreed, eager to gather more information. At the baseball field, the aliens sat rigidly on uncomfortable benches. Children as young as 8 Earth years ran around the field. They wore protective gear and carried the same metal bats Kiplak had seen in the storage room. A small human child stepped up to a marked area. Another child threw a hard ball at high speed toward him. The child swung the metal bat with surprising force, connecting with the ball and sending it flying across the field. Adults cheered loudly from the sidelines. "Did you see that?" Noah exclaimed. "Great hit." Kiplak carefully recorded the event with his hidden camera. "These are children," he whispered to Vreen. "Human children trained to swing weapons accurately." Vreen nodded, and noticed how the adults encouraged this behavior. After the game, Noah invited them to his apartment. "I can show you some of my hobbies and maybe order pizza," he offered. The alien students followed him nervously. They had never been in a human dwelling before. Noah's apartment was small but filled with items that made the aliens uncomfortable. In one corner stood a rack with weights. A shelf displayed several trophies from something called martial arts tournaments. A closet door was open, revealing camping equipment, a hatchet, several knives, and what appeared to be a spear for fishing. "Make yourselves comfortable," Noah said, not noticing their growing anxiety. "I'm going to grab some drinks." While Noah was in the kitchen, Midra whispered to her classmates, "Every inch of this dwelling contains potential weapons." "Look at those trophies," Kiplak pointed. "He has won competitions for fighting." When Noah returned with drinks, Professor Ziggelnor asked casually, "What are those items in your closet?" "Oh, just my camping gear," Noah explained. "I go to the mountains sometimes on weekends. Do you have camping on your planet?" "We do not deliberately leave our safe dwellings to sleep in dangerous wilderness," the professor replied. That evening, Midra secretly accessed the university's public information database. She searched for information about human tools and equipment. The results were shocking. Hardware stores contained thousands of potential weapons. Garden tools included sharp, pointed implements. Even children's toys often resembled simplified weapons. When she shared her findings with the group, they calculated that the average human home contained at least 50 items that could be used as weapons. "We have underestimated humans," Professor Zilner said solemnly. "They live surrounded by an arsenal they consider normal." "Should we alert the Galactic Council?" Vreen asked. "Not yet," the professor decided. "We need to understand why they maintain this arsenal. Is it defensive, culturally significant, Or are they preparing for something more concerning? The aliens looked at each other with growing worry. Earth suddenly seemed much more dangerous than they had been told. The next day, Noah mentioned he needed to run some errands. "I need to pick up a few things at the hardware store. Would you like to come along? It might be interesting for your research on human culture," he offered. The aliens exchanged meaningful glances. A hardware store would provide valuable information for their investigation. "We would be most interested," Professor Zilner said. They followed Noah to his small ground vehicle. The aliens squeezed into the seats, uncomfortable with how fast the vehicle moved through the streets. Humans in other vehicles rushed past them at alarming speeds. The hardware store was a large building with rows of tall shelves. As they entered, the aliens froze. Before them stretched aisle after aisle of what they could only perceive as weapons. Hammers of various sizes hung from books. Axes and hatchets were displayed openly. Power tools with spinning blades and drilling attachments sat on shelves, available to anyone. Chains, ropes, and sharp garden tools filled entire sections. "I just need to grab some supplies for a shelf I'm building," Noah said, unaware of the aliens' distress. "Feel free to look around." The aliens moved through the aisles in silent horror. Kiplak carefully recorded images with his hidden camera. Vreen's skin had turned a sickly pale green. "These are sold to any human who wants them," Professor Zilnor asked Noah when he returned with a basket of items. "Sure, as long as you can pay for them," Noah replied. "Do you need something?" "I am merely curious about the lack of security," the professor said carefully. Noah looked confused. "Security? It's just tools." A human female in a red vest approached them. Her name tag read Lisa Martinez. "Can I help you folks find anything?" she asked brightly. "They're just visiting Earth," Noah explained. "They're interested in human culture." "Oh, how exciting. Would you like to see our newest power tools? We just got in some great chainsaws," Lisa offered. Before they could refuse, she led them to a display of large mechanical devices with exposed cutting chains. "This model is perfect for cutting through thick tree trunks," Lisa said, lifting one of the machines. She pressed a button, and the chain began spinning with a loud roar. She brought it down on a wooden display block, sending splinters flying as it cut through easily. Kiplak fainted, his thin body crumpling to the floor. "Oh my goodness. Is your friend okay?" Lisa asked, turning off the chainsaw. "He is, not used to Earth's gravity," Professor Zilner said quickly. "We should take him outside." They carried Kiplak to a bench outside the store. When he regained consciousness, Noah went back inside to finish his shopping. "We must alert our homeworld," Kiplak whispered urgently. "Humans sell planet-destroying devices in public stores." "Not just sell them," Mitra added. "They demonstrate their destructive power openly." When Noah wasn't looking, each alien sent emergency data packets through their communication devices. The messages contained images and videos of the weapons they had discovered, along with warnings about human combat capabilities. On the way back to campus, they passed a park where human children played. Some were spraying each other with colorful devices that shot streams of water. "What are those children doing?" Vreen asked, pointing. "Playing with water guns," Noah said. "It's a hot day." The aliens watched as the children aimed the gun-shaped objects at each other, pulling triggers and shouting with excitement. "They are simulating combat," Mitra whispered to the others, "training with simplified weapons." That evening, Noah noticed the aliens had grown quiet and seemed nervous around him. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "You seem worried about something." "We are processing the new information we learned today," Professor Zilner said carefully. "Your world is different from ours. If you have questions, just ask," Noah said with a friendly smile. "I'm happy to explain anything that seems strange." But the aliens had decided to be more careful about revealing their concerns. They now believed humans were far more dangerous than the Galactic Council knew. In her private quarters, Professor Zilnor began preparing a formal report titled The Hidden Arsenal: How Humans Disguise Military Infrastructure as Civilian Life. Meanwhile, the students made a pact to continue gathering evidence of human weapons capabilities, now convinced they were uncovering one of the greatest threats to galactic peace. The alien students met early the next morning in their shared common room. Professor Zilmer had called for a strategy meeting. "We need more detailed evidence," she told them. "We will split up today and document different aspects of human combat readiness." She assigned each student a specific area to investigate. Vreen would study human food preparation. Mitra would observe physical training facilities. Kiplak would follow Noah to his weekend activities. "Be careful not to reveal your concerns," the professor warned. "We must appear merely curious about their culture." Vreen visited the university's culinary department. A class was in session when she arrived. Human students stood at stations with an array of sharp implements before them. A tall human man stood at the front of the room. "Today we'll practice basic knife skills," he announced. "I'm Chef Alan Patel, and I'll be showing you how to properly dice vegetables." Vreen watched in horror as the humans picked up large, sharp knives. Chef Alan demonstrated how to hold the knife for maximum control and efficiency. He showed them cutting techniques that Vreen recognized from military training videos. Precise, controlled movements designed for effectiveness. "Always curl your fingers back like this," Chef Alan instructed, showing a claw-like hand position. "This protects your fingers from the blade." Vreen documented everything with her hidden camera. In her notes, she wrote, "Humans train regularly with blade weapons. They learn specific grips and techniques to increase damage efficiency." Across campus, Mitra entered a large building called a fitness center. Inside, humans were engaged in what appeared to be torture. Some lifted heavy weights repeatedly until their muscles shook. Others ran on machines that went nowhere. Some hung from bars, pulling their bodies up by their arms alone. A human female approached Mitra. "First time at the gym. I'm Gina, one of the trainers. Can I help you?" "I am observing human recreation," Mitra said carefully. "Great. Are you interested in trying any equipment?" Gina asked. "What is the purpose of these activities?" Mitra asked. "Building strength, endurance, flexibility, overall fitness," Gina explained. "It's good for health and helps relieve stress." Mitra nodded, but in her notes she wrote, "Humans deliberately strain their bodies against resistance to build superior strength and endurance. They call this fitness, but it clearly serves to make them more formidable in combat." Meanwhile, Kiplak accompanied Noah to his weekend softball game. They arrived at a large open field where humans in matching outfits stood in precise formations. "My team's in blue," Noah explained, putting on a cap with the same color. "We're playing against the Red Rockets today." Kiplak watched as humans took turns swinging heavy bats at balls thrown at high speeds. They ran in patterns around 4 markers on the ground. They threw balls with incredible precision across long distances. When Noah's turn came, he hit the ball far into the field and ran quickly around the markers, while other humans tried to catch the ball to stop him. "Great hit, Noah," his teammates cheered. In his notes, Kiplak wrote, "Humans engage in ritualized combat simulations that develop skills in weapon handling, rapid movement, and teamwork. The game clearly serves as basic military training." Dark clouds gathered during the game. Large drops of water began falling from the sky. "Rain's coming down hard," Noah said as everyone ran for cover. "Game's canceled. Want to come to my place? We could watch some movies instead." Kiplak agreed, curious to gather more information about human dwellings. At Noah's apartment, they met up with the other alien students who had finished their investigations. Noah set up what he called an action movie marathon. "These are classics," he said, starting the first film. The aliens watched in shocked silence as humans on the screen engaged in elaborate fights using various weapons and fighting styles. Cars exploded. Buildings collapsed. Humans survived injuries that would kill most species. "Is this entertainment?" Professor Zigzilnor asked carefully. Yeah, great stuff, right? Noah replied, eating from a bowl of popped corn kernels. These stunts are amazing. The aliens exchanged alarmed glances. They had just discovered something even more disturbing. Humans created detailed recordings of combat techniques and watched them for pleasure. Later that night, the aliens added this new information to their growing file on human combat capabilities. What they had initially thought was a simple research trip had turned into something much more serious. "We are witnessing something unprecedented," Professor Xilnor told her students. "A species so naturally attuned to combat that they have integrated weapons and training into every aspect of their daily lives, and they don't even recognize it as unusual." Professor Diane Morris noticed the alien students had become more withdrawn in recent days. They whispered among themselves and fell silent whenever humans approached. During class discussions, they asked strange questions about human defense capabilities and weapon regulations. "Is everything okay with your students?" she asked Professor Xilnor after a particularly tense seminar. "They are adjusting to Earth's environment," the alien professor replied carefully. "Perhaps a change of scenery would help them relax." Professor Morris nodded. "That's a great idea. I could arrange a cultural tour tomorrow. Show them more of our everyday life." The next morning, a small bus took the aliens to various locations around the city. Professor Morris had planned what she thought would be a calming educational experience. Their first stop was a large sporting goods store. The alien students stepped off the bus and froze at the entrance. Through the glass windows, they could see walls lined with fishing spears, archery equipment, and baseball bats. An entire section was dedicated to camping knives and axes. "This is where many humans get equipment for outdoor recreation," Professor Morris explained, not noticing their horror. Inside, Kiplak recorded everything with his hidden camera. A human child begged his parent for a pocket knife. An employee demonstrated how a fishing hook could easily pierce synthetic material. "Look how many different weapons they sell in one location," Midra whispered to Vreen. "And to anyone who wants them." Their next stop was a large home improvement warehouse. The aliens had thought the hardware store was bad, but this building contained enough tools to dismantle an entire city. Power saws, drills, hammers, chains, and chemical compounds filled the massive space. "Most humans enjoy working on their homes," Professor Morris said. "Do you have similar stores on your world?" "Our buildings are constructed and maintained by specialists," Professor Xilnor replied. "Average citizens do not possess industrial equipment." Professor Morris looked surprised. "How interesting. Here, many people take pride in building and fixing things themselves." The final stop was a farming equipment showroom on the edge of town. Enormous machines with blades, spikes, and crushing mechanisms sat in neat rows. A salesman explained how efficiently the machines could cut through fields of crops. "One human can harvest an entire field in hours with these," the salesman said proudly. The aliens saw only destruction machines that could level a city. On the way back to campus, they passed a park. Professor Morris asked the driver to stop. "Let's take a short break," she suggested. "The park is lovely this time of year." At the playground, human children climbed tall structures, swung from bars, and jumped from platforms. They spun on rotating equipment and slid down steep inclines. "What is the purpose of this area?" Vreen asked, watching a small human child hang upside down from a metal bar. "It's a playground," Professor Morris explained, "for children to play and develop physical skills." The aliens exchanged alarmed glances. In their notes, they wrote, "Human young train on obstacle courses designed to build strength and agility. Training starts as early as age 2. Back at the university, Noah invited them to a special event that weekend. "It's the 4th of July, he said excitedly. "We're having a barbecue and fireworks. It's an important holiday for us." The aliens agreed to attend, eager to gather more information about human behavior. The celebration was held in a large open area on campus. Humans gathered in groups, many wearing clothes with red, white, and blue colors. Some carried small flags. In one area, humans used metal tools to cook meat over open flames. Children ran with sparklers, sticks that shot burning sparks. Adults prepared tubes that they would later ignite to send explosives into the sky. A group played a game throwing weighted bags at targets. Another group hit balls with paddles over a net. Someone showed a child how to properly hold a knife to cut watermelon. For the aliens, the scene confirmed their worst fears. Here was a celebration combining weaponry, explosives, nationalistic displays, and combat training exercises. As fireworks burst overhead in loud explosions, Professor Zgilnor quietly activated her emergency communication device. She sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. Request immediate diplomatic intervention. Humans have developed a militarized society beyond our previous understanding. Their young train with weapons. Their dwellings contain arsenals. Their celebrations involve explosives. Council must send representatives to assess the threat level before cultural exchange proceeds further. The aliens watched the colorful explosions in the sky, unaware that their message would soon bring a much larger galactic presence to Earth. 3 days after the 4th of July celebration, a large ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Unlike the small shuttle that had brought the Florian students, this vessel bore official Galactic Council markings and required special clearance to land. Professor Morris rushed into the alien students' quarters, her face pale with worry. "There's a diplomatic ship requesting landing permission," she said. "They say they're responding to an emergency signal from your group. What's going on?" Professor Zgilnor stood tall, her thin frame rigid. "We have requested council intervention based on our findings here on Earth." "Findings? What findings?" Professor Morris asked, confused. Before the alien professor could answer, university officials called an emergency meeting. The Galactic Council ship had been granted permission to land at the university's shuttle pad. At the landing site, a group of important-looking humans in suits gathered nervously. The alien students and their professor stood nearby, watching as the large ship touched down. The ship's door opened with a hiss of air. A tall, imposing alien emerged, followed by 6 security officers in uniform. The tall alien had dark purple skin and 4 arms. This was Senior Ambassador Drelth, a high-ranking representative of the Galactic Council. "I am Ambassador Drelth," the alien announced through a translation device. "We have received disturbing reports about human weapons capabilities and military infrastructure." The human officials looked at each other in confusion. "There must be some mistake," said the university president, a woman named Dr. Karen Wright. "This is a place of learning, not a military base." Ambassador Drelth turned to Professor Zgilnor. "Show me the evidence you have gathered." Professor Zgilnor connected her data pad to a portable projector. Images appeared in the air between them. Baseball bats, kitchen knives, power tools, playground equipment, barbecue grills, and children playing with water guns. "These weapons are available to all humans," she explained. "They train with them regularly, even their young." The human officials stared in disbelief. "Those aren't weapons," Professor Morris said. "They're everyday items. Tools, toys, sports equipment. Do not attempt to deceive us," Ambassador Drelth said sternly. "We have seen the evidence. This planet maintains combat readiness under the guise of civilian infrastructure." The situation grew tense. More security officers emerged from the ship. Human security personnel arrived as well. Noah pushed through the crowd that had gathered. He had been looking for his alien friends when he heard about the diplomatic incident. "What's happening?" he asked, reaching the front of the crowd. Kiplak saw him and stepped forward. "Noah, your people have deceived the Galactic Council about the true nature of human society." Noah looked at the images still floating in the air. Slowly, understanding dawned on his face. "Wait," he said. "Do you think these are weapons?" "They clearly are," Vreen insisted. "We have documented their use." Noah shook his head. "No, you've got it all wrong. I can explain everything." He stepped forward and addressed Ambassador Drelth directly. "Sir, There's been a huge misunderstanding. Let me show you what these things really are. Noah turned to the university officials. We need to demonstrate how these items are actually used. Can we set up demonstrations? Dr. Wright nodded quickly, eager to resolve the diplomatic crisis. Over the next few hours, Noah organized a series of demonstrations. He showed how baseball was played, with rules and safety equipment. He demonstrated cooking techniques with kitchen knives. A shop teacher showed how power tools were used to build furniture. As the demonstrations continued, Ambassador Drelf's expression changed from suspicion to curiosity. Finally, Professor Morris gave a presentation about human evolution. Humans evolved on a planet with high gravity and many predators, she explained. We developed tools for survival. Over time, those tools evolved for different purposes: cooking, building, recreation. What looks like weapons to you are actually the tools of our civilization. Ambassador Drelf considered this. But why do humans still maintain these primitive implements when advanced technology is available? Noah smiled. Because we enjoy the connection to our past. We find satisfaction in using our hands, in playing games that challenge our bodies, in cooking food the old way. The ambassador turned to Professor Zigzilnor. It seems you may have misinterpreted human culture through the lens of your own experiences. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the alien professor looked uncertain. The demonstrations continued into the evening. Ambassador Drelf watched carefully as humans showed the proper use of items the aliens had misidentified as weapons. A group of children played baseball on a small field, laughing as they ran between bases. In the university kitchen, Chef Allen prepared a delicious meal using the same knives that had terrified Freen. Campus maintenance workers built a small wooden bench using power tools. I begin to understand, Ambassador Drelf said finally. These implements serve practical functions in your society. Exactly, Noah explained. Humans adapt tools for many purposes. What looks dangerous can actually be helpful. The alien students watched these demonstrations with growing embarrassment. They had been so sure of their conclusions. That evening, the Galactic Council delegates met with Earth officials to discuss the misunderstanding. After hours of talks, they emerged with a new perspective. Ambassador Drelf addressed the gathered humans and aliens. The Galactic Council has reconsidered Earth's classification, he announced. We now see that humans are not deceptive warriors, but rather a species shaped by their challenging environment. He turned to Professor Zidilnor and her students. Your research was flawed by cultural bias, he said sternly. You saw weapons where there were only tools because you viewed human society through the lens of your own peaceful world. Professor Zilnor bowed her head. We made a serious error in judgment. The next morning, the alien students met with Noah and Professor Morris to apologize. We misunderstood everything, Kiplak admitted. We were afraid because your tools seemed dangerous to us. Noah smiled. It's okay. I can see how baseball bats might look like weapons if you don't know the game. Your species evolved on a world with fewer physical threats than Earth, Professor Morris explained gently. Humans had to develop tools to survive here. Over time, many of these tools found new uses in recreation, cooking, and building. The alien students spent the remaining weeks of their program learning about human adaptation rather than looking for hidden weapons. They studied how Earth's challenges had shaped human innovation. Before returning to their homeworld, the students presented their revised research to the university. Their new thesis was titled Deathworld Adaptation: How Challenging Environments Foster Technological Innovation. Humans are not inherently violent, Midra explained in the presentation. They are remarkably adaptable. The same skills that helped them survive their challenging world now find expression in their games, hobbies, and creative pursuits. At the end of the program, Noah received a surprising invitation. The Galactic Council has approved a reverse exchange, Professor Zigilnor announced. Noah Fisher will visit our homeworld to teach about human adaptability. Noah was excited by the opportunity to be the first human to visit the Florian world. 6 months later, Kiplak, now working as a xenoanthropologist, sent a message to Noah. Attached were images of Florians playing a modified version of baseball. The balls were much softer, and the bats were lightweight, but the game followed the same rules Noah had taught them. Our people were initially concerned about introducing such activities. Kiplak wrote, "But now many enjoy these human games. We understand better now how physical activity can be both challenging and enjoyable." Professor Morris and Professor Zielnor began work on a textbook together. They titled it Contextual Understanding: The Importance of Cultural Perspective in Galactic Relations. On the cover was an image of a kitchen knife, seen from two angles. From one view, it looked like a weapon. From another, it was clearly a tool for preparing food. The Galactic Council used the Earth case study in its training programs for new diplomatic staff. It became a classic example of how easily cultural misunderstandings could occur between species with different evolutionary histories. As for the hardware store that had terrified the alien students, it added a small sign near the entrance: "Welcome to all species. Cultural orientation available upon request." Earth was reclassified in the Galactic database. It was still labeled a Deathworld, but with a new notation: home to a remarkably adaptable species whose tools reflect their ingenuity rather than aggression.